This week on Transworld Sport, it's a special episode as the Paralympic Games are underway in Tokyo.
In California, we meet up with the Blade Runner, Blake Lieber.
Para-badminton will make its debut in Tokyo. We meet one British hopeful.
And we're in Greece, learning about the sport of Bocce.
I was born with a congenital birth defect, fibular hemiplegia. The doctor said I would never walk. You're always singled out, you get picked on, picked last, laughed at. I would be running around and playing sports, my leg will fall off, and I had to find the willpower and determination to get back up and put my leg on, even though I was embarrassed. I'm disabled, but as of right now, I'm the sixth fastest man in the world. I just hate what comes with that word, disabled. Because you are disabled, you're only able to do A, B, C, and D. The reality of it is I can do anything that I set my mind to. That's my message. That's what gives me motivation when I'm out here on the track, training and running. If you're getting laughed at, picked on, or being told no, I hope they can see my story and say, wow, Blake is competing against the fastest runners in the world. Imagine what I can do.
Drake Stadium at the University of California in Los Angeles has been home to many of America's greatest athletes, including legendary track and field stars Jackie Joyner-Kersee and Allyson Felix. Blake Lieber is an athlete with similar aspirations. Fighting stigma, injustice and disability, Blake is proof that individuals with serious disabilities can not only compete, but do so at the very highest level.
With the support from my family members and my older brother, my grandfather, my grandmother, everybody's rallying around me to kind of make sure I live a normal, healthy life. I started just playing basketball and baseball as a kid. I went to high school, went to college, and by the time I got to college, that's when actually I seen Pistorius run for the first time on TV, and I was like, wow, there's something out there for me.
Like Pistorius before him, Blake runs on specially designed prosthetic blades, allowing him to compete on the Paralympic stage.
I got my first pair of blades and started, playing with them and started training a little bit, and I kept getting better and I kept getting better, and I qualified for my first national championships. And then by 2011, I actually tied Pistorius' world record in 100 meters with a 10:91. By doing that, that kind of would solidify, say, wow, I actually have a shot.
Lieber has continued to excel on the track. In 2018, he ran the fastest ever 400 meters by a double amputee, and at the 2019 US Track and Field Championships, he finished 5th in the final of the men's 400 meters, racing against able-bodied athletes. Blake is coached by former sprinter and NFL legend Willie Gault, who enjoyed a successful career as a wide receiver with the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Raiders during the 80s and 90s. Now an athletics coach, Willie is helping Blake try and achieve his dream of competing against able-bodied athletes at the Olympic Games.
It's always been his goal to compete against regular people because he is regular. When we first started working together 3 years ago, I didn't see him as a disabled person. I saw him as a person who willing to work hard, dedicate his time and his energy to something and try to achieve a goal. And he's worked really hard these past 3 years to try to accomplish that. I mean, the fact that he is running against able bodies and he has this disability bodes well for the disability community, to know that they can do anything they want.
Blake is continuing to fight the sport's governing body World Athletics to allow him to race against able-bodied athletes. If he succeeds, he could be competing for the US track and field team at the 2024 Olympics in Paris.
Oscar Pistorius was the first one who started this, and he was able to run in the 2012 Olympics, and hopefully Blake will have the same success, hopefully, and be able to have the opportunity. There's only been one case, that's Oscar, and he was allowed to run, so Blake should be allowed to run.
Another key member of Blake's team is his trainer and manager, Johann Steffensen. Johann oversees Blake's physical conditioning, preparing him for the rigors of racing against some of the world's best athletes.
He is just one of the fastest and most hardworking men in the world now. He has, like people are talking about, you know, it's the blade, but it's not. It's just brutally hard work. And he's working probably harder than anybody out there.
Blake follows a unique training plan to accommodate his needs as a double amputee.
We have to change up a few things because he doesn't have calves, he doesn't have ankle joints, so there's a lot of things that we have to change there. We just tried a lot of things and we are on a pretty good routine now. It's challenging, but it works. We had a lot of bumps in the roads on the way, but he kept on coming, and you know that's what makes champions.
Those bumps in the road are the other side of Blake Lieber's story. Even when he was winning medals and enjoying success on the track, Blake was also battling a decade-long addiction to alcohol and drugs.
Deep down, I was searching. You know, I was trying to figure out what, you know, the meaning of life, who I am as a person, trying to wear this cape of being the face of the disability, or trying to inspire a generation. I was in a deep, dark place, hanging out with the wrong people, doing a lot of partying, unfortunately indulging in drugs and drinking a lot, and to the point where I just spiraled out of control. And then I ended up, trying to pull it back together, but I couldn't. It was so tough to get myself out of that position until I hit my rock bottom. And my rock bottom is when I tested positive in the 2015 Paralympic National Championships for cocaine.
That failed test threatened to overshadow all Blake's earlier successes at the Paralympic Games and left him at rock bottom.
Honestly, that was the lowest point in my life. I lost sponsorships, I lost support, I was dropped by my leg sponsors, so literally I lost my legs. I made a huge mistake, but the most important thing I learned is, what are you going to do after that mistake? Life is not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's about how hard you can take hits and keep pushing forward. And those days where I was suspended and I didn't have that much money in my bank account because I lost sponsorships, and people lost their belief in me, and people was talking bad about me, I still had to wake up and suit up and put my legs on and show up at the track and train like I was a champion. And I was determined to make right, to make amends, and to get my life back on track.
With his addiction troubles behind him, Blake Lieber is determined to be a role model for people struggling through adversity. He's also hoping to inspire a generation of disabled athletes by becoming one of the fastest men in the world.
The takeaway, when it's all said and done and I'm gone, and my name gets popped up in the conversation, I just want people to look at my story and look at my life and say, wow, he was a fighter. Like, wow, that kid fought. He gave it all that he had, and through the ups and downs, you know, through the disability, through the addiction, through all of it, he never quit. And so by them identifying that is that mindset of never quitting regardless of the situation that you're in, that I fought through it all, that can maybe give them some little inspiration and hope and saying, wow, if Blake fought, I can fight too. So whatever situation I'm going through, I'm gonna push through it. That's what I want people to take away. That's what I want people to understand about my life.
I think people's views on Paralympic sport, I've got to a stage where we're considered as athletes rather than it's good that they're doing it for a sport and they're good at getting out there. And I've had messages, I've had people write to me and say how much they've been inspired by seeing me, and not only just the tennis side of it, but the way we conduct ourselves and the way we speak and the way we're role models, and we've inspired them to get into disability sport, not just wheelchair tennis, but you know, that's really humbling to hear.
At just 23 years old, Alfie Hewitt has already established himself as one of the best wheelchair tennis players on the circuit. He has topped the world rankings in both singles and doubles. He's claimed 5 Grand Slam singles titles and a further 12 in doubles. And he also has a Paralympic silver medal to his name. Alfie was born with a congenital heart defect. He underwent open heart surgery at just a few months old. Aged 6, he was diagnosed with Perthes disease, a rare condition that affects the hip. The condition means Alfie spends most of his time in a wheelchair.
I remember I was on my feet, I was a keen goalkeeper, I loved playing, I was playing tournaments every other week, I was playing for a club, I was training a lot, and I just started to develop a lot of pains in my knees and my thighs, and I remember just kind of putting it down to growing pains and not really thinking too much of it. And it wasn't until it got progressively worse and worse and I started to collapse. Day-to-day life, walking around, limping a lot. Yeah, I remember going into hospital, coming out a few weeks later after being in traction and being in a wheelchair and having to kind of change my life around, really. I remember being a kid going in a wheelchair at 7 years old, feeling lost, and sport gave me that purpose. And my grandma would take me every Wednesday evening, and my sister would come, my brother would go, and we'd play killer catch, which is quite a common game played, I think. And I remember just getting so excited every Wednesday lunchtime. We would come and I'd get out there and I'd try and give it a go. I couldn't hit the ball, you know, I was terrible. I could barely push with a racket, but just getting out there and playing sport again was really something I look forward to in the week.
Alfie has become one of the most feared players in the game. In his maiden Paralympics in Rio, the then 18-year-old clinched a silver medal in both the singles and doubles. But it's his first Grand Slam singles title that resonates most.
Yeah, I remember not actually crying, which is quite unusual for me because I'm quite an emotional player when I win things. But I remember just embracing the moment, and I was 6-love, 3-love down in the French Open final, getting absolutely pumped by Gustavo Fernandez, the Argentinian player, and I was just like, one game, just give me one game, please. I just don't want to be in my first Grand Slam singles final and get double donutted. So I remember getting that game, and it kind of just relaxed me. And then it just, I don't know, I can't really remember what happened really. It was all a bit of a blur. I just went from down here to kind of up here in amount of games and just completely turned it around.
Alfie has achieved most of his success in the doubles, notably with compatriot Gordon Reid, who was Alfie's idol growing up. Together, they've won all 4 Grand Slams and are currently on course to complete the calendar slam in 2021. Alfie has now surpassed his hero in the singles world rankings, but there is no animosity between them.
When we started playing against each other in the singles, and we just got used to it really, and it never was a thing. And you know, we're all obviously friends, and we get on, and that's why we've succeeded so much. We really complement each other on the court. The chemistry and our game styles really suit, and But he's been a great role model, and I don't forget that. He was there, he was always someone that I looked up to as I was coming up. I wanted to be like Gordon, I wanted to play like him.
Alfie juggles his tennis with his studies. He's currently completing a BTEC diploma in sports and exercise science at City College, Norwich. In whatever he does, Alfie wants to be the best. Stuart Wilkinson is his coach.
Alfie's potential was clear when he was 10 years old. He would do things that you shouldn't do, like hit a hard backhand down the line. In tennis terms, cross-court percentage is where it's at, and I loved that. He had no fear. He would always be aggressive, and if you want to win in tennis, you've got to take it on, and the people that take the chances, if they make it, that they win. So that was from his very first time.
Yeah, I'm competitive, I think is the word that someone would say. I've been known to throw a couple of the swear words out there at times, and the racket's flying everywhere. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, tennis players need to be stone wall and need to be in the zone, show no emotion. But, you know, as long as you can forget about it and by the next point you're ready and you're raring to go, who cares what you do in that period, right?
Alfie's focus is now on Tokyo and attempting to be on the top step of the podium with gold around his neck.
It's probably one of my biggest goals in my career is to get a gold medal, and 2 silvers was amazing, and I've given myself quite a tough ask to go to Tokyo and get a gold, but it all comes down to the hard work, and that started 3 years ago really, you know. But you know what we've done in the last couple of years, it builds up and it really adds, and I'm excited, you know.
My disability is spinal muscular atrophy. I have a lack of a protein, which causes a disease on my muscles, so they are wasted. So I can move everything, but I have very, very limited strength. So I don't have even the strength to touch my face at this moment. So I need help in almost every movement in my daily life. Bocce is similar to bowls or petanque, and it is for athletes that do not have a lot of strength, so their movement is very limited. And for example, in my category, the athletes cannot throw the ball with their arm or their foot, so we use special equipment to propel the ball into the playing area. When I heard about Bocce, it was just some years before Athens 2004 Paralympic Games, and it was like a dream. I had a dream to participate in the games, but I also wanted to win the games. From the beginning, I didn't see Bocce as a hobby. I saw it as a career opportunity, and after my first success, I wanted to do even better. So I worked hard. I still am working very hard because I enjoy being on the top, and that's my greatest motivation. In my category, we have a sport assistant. That sport assistant is always with us. I cannot train without my sport assistant. I cannot compete without my sport assistant. I cannot do anything without my sport assistant.
I'm Katerina, and I'm Grigoris Polychronidis' sport assistant, who is actually my husband. I was in Switzerland doing my master degree in 2012. Grigoris had won the gold Paralympic medal in Paralympic Games in London, so it was the only gold medal for Greece. For Olympic Games and for Paralympic Games, so it was very important. It was a big success here, and I sent him a text message to congratulate him. So since then we started a conversation, and when I visited my country, I had a meeting with him.
For me, it was love from first sight. So after, I think, 2 months, we were already living together. She is my inspiration, and I always share everything with Katerina. we're like one, you know, so we're like a unity. Katerina supports me in every field.
He's a leader, and I enjoy this a lot. I like it, and I really admire his character and his career and his emotions for everything, for me, for his sport, for life. He doesn't want to be a loser.
We both love being with the person we love. It's like enjoying what you already need. So we enjoy sharing 24 hours a day together. So Katerina helps me during the day, Katerina helps me in training, we compete together. Katerina even helps me during the night because I cannot turn in the bed. So Katerina is everything for me now. And it's funny because when Katerina is in another room or something like that, we cannot sit for a long time. So we start shouting, "Where are you? I'm missing you." We started playing in 2015, and in our first competition, we won the gold medal in the World Open. So we said, that's good, we're going well.
I love sports from the very beginning of my life, so I really wanted to be involved in something like this. This is what I was missing. I mean, to compete like an athlete, as an athlete in major sport events.
She's very strict for the training hours. So if you are 5 minutes late, Katerina says, "Oh, you're 5 minutes late. You must not be so late. What's happening with you?" And that kind of stuff. So, and I'm saying, "Okay, relax. Don't worry, it's 5 minutes. It's okay." So we're fighting and then we're laughing almost every day.
We communicate a lot during the whole day in training, but we can't communicate during the game in competitions. So I only execute his instructions during the game. It's very important that I know him very well and he knows me very well. Sometimes during the game he maybe tells me maybe wrong instruction because he's thinking about tactics for his next step in the game. But I know what he wants to say because we train many hours together, because I know him, so I'm doing the correct thing.
Tokyo is our primary goal. We have worked a lot, but the sport is so competitive that we need to work even harder. What is a dream of me, Katerina, and the rest of my family is because of a medicine that has been created just a few years ago, and it's the first treatment ever for my disability. So we are dreaming maybe someday I will not be eligible to play in Bocce. So we are hoping and we are praying so that this will be the reason that I will stop playing Bocce, that I will not be eligible. When I was just a child, I had some nightmares of what am I going to do in my life. It will be a disaster. I cannot move my arms, I cannot move my legs, so how will I live? But then at the same time, I said no, because I can study, I can choose a profession where I will be good at, so I will be making money, and I will have some persons that will help me, assist me in everything I need, and I will have a normal life. And that's how it happened. So if you are positive, and if you plan your life, and you don't expect everything to happen on its own, because it won't. You have to work, you have to try, and then you will have the success in any field that you are working on.
Now time for our top 5, which this week features 5 stars to look out for in Tokyo.
First up is Ali Jawad. Born without legs, Jawad took up powerlifting at the age of 16. Despite being diagnosed with Crohn's disease, the Briton won gold at the 2016 Paralympics in Rio and is the current world and European champion.
British medal hopeful will be Sophie Christensen. An 8-time Paralympic gold medalist, the 33-year-old was born 2 months prematurely with cerebral palsy. She began horse riding as a form of physiotherapy and is now in contention for a dressage medal in the Japanese capital.
Hong Kong's Yu Chi Yi is one of the world's best wheelchair fencers. Having had to amputate her left leg due to bone cancer at the age of 11, Yi has won 11 Paralympic medals, including 7 gold, a number she'll be aiming to add to later this year.
A 5-time Paralympic gold medalist, Jason Smith is the fastest Paralympic sprinter of all time. The Irish athlete, whose central vision is affected by Stargardt's disease, holds the world records in the T13 100-metre and 200-metre disciplines.
A 13-time Paralympic gold medalist, American Jessica Long established herself on the international scene at the 2004 Games in Athens, where she won 3 gold medals aged just 12. Since then, the 4-time Paralympian has won an impressive 23 medals and will be one to watch in the pool this summer.
Great Britain's Jack Shepherd is a world #1 and a 2-time para-badminton world champion.
So I got into badminton when I was about 10 years old. My granddad bought me my first racket, and from there I was playing with like my brother and my dad at the local leisure centre. And then when I sort of got too good for them, they sort of found me a club.
Badminton will make its debut at the Paralympic Games this week in Tokyo. The sport's inclusion is in recognition for its global growth in recent years.
I was so excited. I knew that I'd always wanted to go to a Paralympics, and I knew that I always loved badminton. So when the two of them came together, it was just sort of a dream come true that I'd be able to go to the Paralympics playing the sport that I love.
Jack took up badminton aged 10 and has been coached by Richard Morris ever since. Now aged 24, Jack is now a full-time badminton player, following the sport's introduction to the Paralympic programme.
He never gives any less. He'll give everything he has. Even sometimes when he doesn't have it, he will still give it anyway, at his own detriment. Definitely 100%.
At the Games in Tokyo, 90 players will compete in singles, doubles and mixed doubles events. Jack will compete in the SS6 classification, which is for athletes with a restricted growth condition.
For us, the court and the net and the racket size and everything is the same, but the game's just a little bit different because we're a bit lower down, so we don't take the shuttle as high or hit the shuttle as steep. But then also because of our size and how we are, the court's just a bit bigger distance to cover than an average height person.
Jack's ambition is to win gold in Tokyo. However, due to complications with his disability, the road to reach this point hasn't always been easy.
When I was about 14 years old, I had to have corrective surgery for my legs, which is quite common in my condition. So they had to break parts of my legs to be able to straighten them and in some frames, and they were all pinned. So it took me about a year to get back to a fitness where I could play at a competitive level.
The facilities at the EIS Centre in Sheffield, where Jack trains, provide regular physiotherapy. This helps to optimise his training sessions by ensuring that his muscles stay flexible, aids his post-training recovery and reduces the likelihood of any injuries. Training alongside Jack is Kristin Combs. The 2016 European singles champion, Kristin is the world #2 and Jack's best friend, rival and doubles partner.
We're both different as how we play. We've both got strengths that in different areas, and I think if we said it sometimes that if we were sort of joined together, I think we'd be like the perfect player sort of thing. I'm a lot quicker than him, and He's got more racket skills than me.
Despite being best friends, their friendship will be tested as only one GB athlete can compete at the Tokyo Paralympics.
They get on. They know that they only have to play each other if they're in an international on a Saturday or a Sunday, wherever we are. And any other day other than that, they are together pushing each other forward. They know that if Kristin helps Jack, Jack gets better. Jack will then help Kristin, he will get better, and then together they will keep pushing on.
However, in a late rule change, both Jack and Kristin were permitted to represent Great Britain in Tokyo, but only one can win. Tokyo promises to be a pivotal one for Jack, but regardless of what happens, he wants to help the sport's growth by inspiring the next generation.
I hope to do more cycles and do some more Paralympics, maybe Paris and LA. I'm still young, so I believe I can still do that if my body stays healthy. But then also promote the sport. I want to see who else below me, youngsters, especially in our own country, who can become the next world champion, the next Paralympic champion after me, and hopefully I can help the sport grow.
When I walk through the streets, people look because they don't meet it every day. So it's not interesting for them, but it's weird for them, and they look. But people who I'm living with, they don't look like others. They treat me like any other normal people.
Born without his left forearm, Filip Radovich has never let his disability prevent him from achieving sporting greatness. As a child growing up in Montenegro, Filip initially played football, but once his elder brother took up table tennis, he soon wanted to beat him. The young Filip also found a role model who showed him just what could be achieved in the sport. Natalia Partyka. The 32-year-old Polish player was born without her left forearm and, like Filip, competes in the Class 10 category. However, Natalia has also competed in 3 Olympic Games, alongside her incredible 5 Paralympic appearances.
It was an inspiration. She was my idol, and I watched her on YouTube and her matches, and now I participate in the same competitions like her. I watched her at the beginning, how she serves, and how that was my main goal, to learn how to serve, because I can't flip the ball like other players, so that was my first problem, but I learned it.
Seeing Natalia play at the highest level against able-bodied players convinced Filip he could do the same. The 21-year-old now competes in more able-bodied tournaments than Paralympic. And 2 years ago, he was focusing on one competition in particular. The Games of the Small States of Europe are a mini-Olympics for countries on the continent with fewer than 1 million people. The 2019 edition was held in Montenegro, and Filip was selected as the host nation's flag bearer for the opening ceremony.
I'm very happy that I was nominated to be a flag bearer by the people in Montenegrin Olympic Committee. And this is the first time that Games of Small States country are here in Montenegro, and I'm the flag bearer in front of my home crowd, and that's a big. I'm happy for that.
Igor Tomic is the president of Montenegro's Paralympic Committee, and he travelled to the coastal town of Tivat to watch Filip compete in the men's singles event.
Filip Radovich is the pride of Montenegro, but not only when it comes to sports. He's a young man with good manners, and is highly dedicated to his sport. Philip's a great example of somebody who's had a strong upbringing, and he's a good example of someone who has dedication. Philip is truly the pride of the Olympic and Paralympic Committee. Through my job, I've had the honour and privilege to get to know Philip since he began his career in table tennis. To witness his growth and improvement as a human being, as well as an athlete, has been a real joy.
Despite struggling with a shoulder injury at the Games, Philip went on to win 3 bronze medals across the singles, doubles and team competitions. But his focus now turns to the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Montenegro have only sent 3 different competitors to the Paralympics in its history as an independent nation. They are hoping that Philip can become the next name to be added to that list.
When it comes to Filip Radovich's Paralympic programme, we all have one goal that we dream about: for Filip Radovich to qualify for the Paralympics 2020 in Tokyo. It would be a huge achievement. It's a very hard and demanding road. There are only a few big tournaments where Filip can collect qualifying points. He's facing some big challenges in his quest to compete in Tokyo.
That's my main goal these years. I have to stay in the top 10 players in my class, so I will go there. If I want to go there, I have to stay top 10 in my class, and I have to play tournaments, minimum 4 tournaments and European Championship, and the best players goes to Tokyo.
Philip was recently confirmed as the only competitor for Montenegro at the Games in Japan. Solid results during the first half of 2021 have boosted Philip's ranking to well inside the world's top 10, meaning that he will hope to become Montenegro's first ever Paralympic medalist.
That will be an incredible achievement. I have never participated before in Paralympic Games. And also my country in Rio, only two participants from Montenegro, and in London only 1. Now it's main goal to have more than before.
I'm kind of a speed demon. I really like going fast, and I think all my pushes are just fast. I don't really know how to slow down. They're always just the same pace because I always want to try hard.
The Scottish Borders is home to British wheelchair racer Samantha Kinghorn. She can often be seen pushing along the hilly roads in her signature pink chair, clocking speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. The 25-year-old is a double world champion, and this is her story. As a child growing up on her family's farm, Sammy dreamt of travelling the world, and she was always an active youngster, as her father Neil recalls.
I think Samantha, ever since as soon as she got off the ground, stopped crawling, found her legs, the wellies. Samantha would get to shout at Mummy, come and tidy your room up, and Samantha was down in the farm like a shot. She'd rather be out as in. She was an outdoor little girl. She just wanted to follow Dad round about and get dirty.
However, when Sammy was 14, back in the December of 2010, she was involved in a life-changing accident.
I remember the snow was really, really bad. It was the most snow I'd ever seen in my life. Dad was out on the forklift trying to clear the roads as much as possible because every morning you'd wake up and there'd be another foot of snow. And For some unknown reason, I decided it would be a good idea to jump onto part of the forklift. I still have no idea why. And I remember climbing on and thinking that my dad's seen me, just showing off a little bit as I sit on part of the forklift. While Dad was driving along, he had the boom with the shovel on the end risen up high, so I jumped on underneath it, and Dad just carried on with his job. And I was crushed inside. I remember the first feeling was guilt. I remember thinking, I'm going to die, and my dad's going to think that he's done this. How he's not going to be able to live with that?
I think one of the worst days of my life, I suppose. You don't ever want to harm any of your children in any way, but to do it in a physical way, I will always regret it.
And I could feel my heart, like it was pounding inside my head, and it must have just been that, you know, that fight for survival, that moment of, no, this isn't going to kill me, I need to get out, and I need to get out now. And I remember watching as Dad shoveled up some snow, and then he started to lift the shovel up, and I just thought, I need to get out now, and I need to run. And so I remember sliding myself off, and I started running, and I slipped and I fell, and I remember I was lying on the ground, and I could feel my toes all starting to curl, and then all the muscles in my legs starting to twitch, and then everything just kind of tightened up, and it felt like I was getting cramp all up and down my legs, and then everything just kind of let go. And I knew that was the last time I was going to feel my legs again.
Sammy was airlifted to the Southern General Hospital in Glasgow, where she underwent surgery to help stabilise her fractured spine. But the damage was too great. Physiotherapist Claire Lincoln had the difficult job of telling Sammy and her family that she would never walk again.
I don't think it's easy for anyone to hear that news at any point in their life, whether you're young or old. It's always such a difficult thing to have to say to somebody as, you know, a therapist or as a doctor or a nurse.
I knew how hard my mum and dad were going to find it, and I knew that if I started crying, then they might never stop. So it was that moment I just kind of had to be like, I have to be the adult today, and I know when they come in this room they're going to be very upset, and I have to tell them it's okay.
And sometimes we do get surprises and people recover far better than we expect them to. Unfortunately, in Sammy's case, the function in her limbs and her trunk didn't change. But I think very early on, both Sammy and her parents had an excellent outlook and an excellent attitude to her injury and how things should move on.
I think I had no one to blame. Like, it was my fault that I was in the situation that I was in. So it's kind of like I can sit here all night and I can say, what if? Why did I do that? What if? I'm still going to wake up every morning and I'm still going to be paralysed. It's not going to change it. And I think I learned that very quickly.
Sammy's positive attitude right from the start was infectious, despite the many frustrations of rehab. A natural athlete, she would often compete against fellow patients in the hospital gym. And as she grew in strength, Claire introduced her to wheelchair racing coach Ian Murphin.
The first few years were quite exciting. She was a real roller coaster because she was running way ahead of where she should be in terms of development. She was getting very fast very quickly, which for somebody so new into the sport doesn't really happen. We talk about long-term athlete development and 10,000 hours of practice to be good at something. I think it was probably 10,000 minutes with Sammy, and she was very good very quickly.
Just 2 years after her accident, Sammy competed in her first competition, and soon after she made her international debut, representing Scotland at the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow.
To compete at home games, I think for any athlete is incredible, and I've had so many opportunities to do that. I've been so lucky, and for it to be my first one in Glasgow, you know, where my rehab started after my accident, you know, where my physio, you know, my first ever physio was from, and I think it meant a lot to me to be able to, you know, kind of show off my new life, you know, how my life's changed, but it's still incredible. And my granny and all my friends and family were able to come up and see me, and that was amazing.
With a newfound belief in her ability, Sammy went on to qualify for the 2016 Rio Paralympic Games, where she made the final of the 100, 400 and 800 metres. The following year, she won gold in both the 100 and 200 at the World Para-Athletics Championships in London. She set a new world record in the 200 with a time of 28.61 seconds. Sammy raced her first marathon in Chicago in 2017, which saw her record the fastest debut time ever for a female wheelchair racer. However, her next challenge will be the upcoming Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Sammy is entered in the T53, 100, 400 and 800 metre events in the Japanese capital.
Sammy will achieve whatever she sets out to achieve, is my view, and she's already confounded what I thought she would do up to now.
You know, I want to be Paralympic champion. I don't think any athlete can really go out and compete each day if they don't have that, you know, incredibly high hope of one day being the best in the world. That's my main aim.
And the winner of the Disability Sport Award is Sammy Kinghorn.
Her fierce independence and positive attitude earned Sammy the title of Sports Personality of the Year at the recent Scottish Sports Awards. She became the first para-athlete to win the prize, which has been won by Andy Murray, Chris Hoy and Catherine Granger.
From sprint training to marathon training.
It's so different, you know, even the push technique and everything that we have to do.
It's nice to see her win, and it's nice to have her be like seen. People are now seeing her, you know, not always just the chair like it used to be, or pitying her. You know, they're now thinking, oh wow, you know, she's achieved some very special things now.
There's no point wallowing in the past, because at the end of the day it's not going to change it. And I think you just need to move on and make sure you're taking them opportunities and make sure you're working hard. It doesn't matter where you've come from, what background you've had, what disability you've had. It doesn't matter. As long as you try harder and you work harder than anyone else, I do believe that you can make anything come true and you can achieve incredible things.
Although she doesn't like being described as an inspiration, Sammy Kinghorn has certainly become a role model for many, not least her friends and family.
I think everyone goes through hard things in life, and I don't expect people, and I hope no, you know, I don't want people to go through things I've gone through. But I just want them to accept that things happen, and it's not supposed to be a nice flat road and really easy. You know, I want to achieve great things, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to achieve incredible things because I know I've put my family through the ringer. So I want them to watch me and say, wow, you know, even though she's gone through that, she's come out, you know, a brighter and better person on the other side.
Whilst you're enjoying the Paralympic Games, don't forget to tune in to Trans World Sport next week.